Greetings, everyone. Welcome to COS Today. My name's Dale Parrish, along with co-host Ken Kashuba. Ken, I noticed. Did we get a Facebook message about? Did you see that?
Yes, I believe so.
Have we? Are we not connected to Facebook?
I'll double check that
Sorry,
while you're.
folks, but this happens from time to time. I don't know. Of course, the message popped up just as I was getting ready to start the program.
It says it looks like the stream was deleted on Facebook. I don't understand why that would have happened, but
I don't understand. I don't know.
I'm trying to go live on it, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, we will continue on here. I want to welcome everyone to COS today. We're pleased to have everyone on board this evening. So let me get to what I want to do here to begin with. And let's let Maringo Mike say a few words to everyone to get us started this evening. All right.
The program, please be sure and hit the like and subscribe buttons along with the notifications bell so you'll always know when we go live. We appreciate your support and hope you'll join us on our mission to use the Constitution to save the Constitution. Now, back to the program.
All right, Maringo Mike. Well, it looks to me like the Facebook connection is.
I just got it up and running.
Yeah, it looks like we're on. It's changed the color.
I had to remove it and then put it back in, and it went.
I wonder.
So we're back on Facebook. Welcome, all you Facebook viewers.
Yeah, welcome.
Delay.
I have no idea why this happens, folks. It's a surprise.
We'll blame it on Elgato. Elgato was in the room again, and he blew up Facebook. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Elgato. That we won't get into that. That's you had.
For those who were here last week, you're in on the inside joke. Ask us about
right.
Elgato in the comments section.
Well, Ken, let's without any further hesitation, let's bring on our guest this evening and get going on our first segment, which is the In Focus segment. We've been doing this for some months now. It's proven to be, I think, a very interesting segment. Gotten a lot of good feedback on it. This is where we all just talk about what's caught our interest, what's in the news here of late. In other words, what's our focus? What are we focusing on in the news? So it's always very interesting. So let me bring on our guest this evening. And our first guest is a gentleman that we used to see more frequently, but not as frequently as anymore. Now, I will say Ken has said that was a good thing, but we won't get into that. But Mr. Dale Tipton, our regional director. Hello, Dale.
Greetings, gentlemen.
Greetings, Dale. And I know it's because of your workload, not because Dale wants to spread malicious lies. So.
Thanks, Ken. I knew you'd have my back.
I did.
Oh yeah. You might know that. Yes. Well, Dale, good to see you. We used to, quite honestly, we did see you more frequently in the past, but since you became a regional director, your time has been taken up in other matters. So,
a couple more meetings to go to.
Tell everybody very quickly. Tell everybody the states that are involved in your region now.
Okay, so we have got Idaho, Indiana, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Wisconsin.
Yes. So nothing going on in any of those states. I mean, it's probably pretty calm, right?
You bet.
Okay.
Yeah, Idaho is in a constant duel with the JBS people, and I mean, they're kind of raising their heads everywhere, really. But there's some good things happening.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, let's bring on our other guest this evening, Miss Debbie Stewart.
Hey.
Hi,
Debbie has become very now. Debbie, we do see frequently. Okay, so Debbie has just been a contributor for us for a long time and continues to be willing and able to come on. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much, Debbie.
Absolutely.
Always good to have you here. We had a third guest lined up this evening, but apparently something has happened and to him, and so we will try to. I hope he's okay. We will try to get him on at a later time. So it'll just be the four of us, and and since Debbie's here, I'm sure we'll find a lot to talk about. So
See, Dale Tipton, they pick on you whether you're here all the time or whether you're not here all the time.
I know how it goes. Yeah.
well, Debbie, I know you wanted to talk about the SAVE Act tonight, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point to start out this segment on, because I think Dale and I have the two Dales have some comments or have some things that relate to this, so that we
Great.
want to talk about. But Debbie, take it away.
Okay, great. Well, remember the SAVE Act is about election integrity, and we are trying to pass a national law that says that first of all, you have to have proof of citizenship when you register to vote, and then when you go vote, you have to have voter ID, some form of picture ID.
Now, is this? I've heard this said. This only pertains to national elections. Am I right?
Well,
I
yes.
mean, where there are national candidates or national offices at stake.
Yes, from the federal perspective, but I think that it might go further as far as a lot of the states are doing their own SAVE Acts and are cleaning voter rolls at all levels. So
let's hope so. Let's hope so. Yes.
Yeah, I would think. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. So the SAVE Act passed the House back in April. And so then it moved on to the Senate. And the first time the Senate voted, it didn't pass. And then this past week on Thursday, the 4th, they had another vote and it didn't pass again. So it was 48 yes, 52 no. And really, we need 60 votes out of the 100 anyways. So I am not sure how we're going to get to 60 if we can't even get to 51. We had 4 Republicans vote against it. Lisa Murkowski, Collins out of Maine, Tillis out of North Carolina, and Mitch McConnell out of Kentucky. So those 4 voted. I think both of them might have voted against it last time too. So the way that works then is, I think our Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, is kind of getting tired of this and saying it's taking up too much time in lieu of other important legislation. So I don't know how long it's going to be before that can come back around. Now, the other option is to get rid of the filibuster, and then we'd need a simple majority, which would be 51. But again, it was only 48 Republicans voted out of the 52 for it. And we already know that about half the country have little or no voter ID laws. So if this doesn't pass at the national level, basically what we have is half the country, which are most of the red states, have more stricter election integrity laws. And then your 25 or so blue states have looser, if you can believe it, looser voter registration laws. Although I did hear that California has some elements of the SAVE Act on the docket for the November election, which is really good to hear. So
on the docket for the November election, how do you mean?
Yeah, so they're supposed to be putting some of those elements to be voted on in November to actually have something closer to a SAVE Act. So that's a good thing for California, especially.
Now you did. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
That's right. I'd like to know what Thune thinks is more important right now than voter election, integrity. I mean, at this point, I think coming up later in this In Focus second segment, we'll probably be talking a little bit more about that. But I think it's pretty crucial that we finally get down to knowing that our votes actually count.
Yes. Dale, you had something to say too, right? Dale Parrish, you were going to start to say something.
Go ahead, Dale.
I forgot what it was.
Well, I can keep talking and then you can, when it comes back.
Go ahead. I'll think.
Yeah, no, I agree, Ken. Like this whole thing around having honest elections is really key. Unless, of course, you don't want honest elections. I can't think of any good reason, because to do anything anymore, you need an ID. To get a job, you have to have two forms of ID, like a birth certificate and a passport, or a birth certificate and your photo ID, your license. And so to go to the library and get a library card, goodness, you got to have some form of ID there too. So the argument from the Democrats that says, oh, this is going to be a racial issue, you're going to exclude people. I'm not sure how you're going to do that unless it's somebody that lives in the middle of the mountains that doesn't leave their place ever, goes nowhere, has no internet, and they don't have an electric bill, or any kind, because some of those things require ID too to set up accounts. So I don't understand that argument.
Well, I don't think there's anything easier. I don't think there's an easier bill to pass in our government than the SAVE Act. And we could actually then get on to some of the more difficult things that obviously are pressing in our government. I mean, good Lord. I mean, when you can't get past the common sense easiest things to bills to pass, what actual work are they doing? That's kind of what I would like to know. What actual work are they doing? Not working for the people. Go ahead,
this
Dale.
gets into those areas where I think national polling indicates 80% of the people in the country are for this. And so if that majority of people nationally are for it, it pretty much proves that the people that represent us are not listening, right? And so that's a big problem. That's a big problem right there. And we're seeing that more than more, where people take office and then they go, well, you know what, you guys just aren't really aware of everything I'm aware of, and so let me handle this for you because I know better. You do.
Yeah, they're not paying any attention to what their constituents want, which means they really don't belong in there anyways then, because their whole job is supposed to be to represent their constituents back home. And so it's really sad that there's ulterior motives here, or there's under the table deals that go against the American way, which is honest elections and fair elections, getting rid of a lot of the mail-in voting, getting rid of the late, a week or two later. That SAVE Act is going to protect some of that. And we know for a fact that there were quite a number of states where they found thousands of dead people on voter rolls, thousands of illegals on voter rolls. We have videos and documentation where the same whatever you call it, ballots were put through the machine 3 times, so they tripled the count for a certain party. And we've seen all that. So when somebody says there's no cheating at all, I'm like, what planet are you from?
Debbie, I think you did a full presentation on the SAVE Act, didn't you? Here,
I did. It was a while back. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And didn't you show a map of the United States and how the states vary with ID requirements all the way to practically no requirement at all?
Yes. Yes. And there was like a 5-tier level of very strict voter laws to none at all.
Yeah.
Each state was broken down on, like, the deep red states on the map were the ones that had they're passing very strict voter laws. Like, you have to register to vote, and you have to show a photo ID at the polls. So there's really not much a way around that, right? You have to prove citizenship when you register, and then you have to prove you are who you say you are when you show up at the polls.
I've had 2 instances of these just recently. As you know, my wife and I moved just recently, and I had to, of course, submit a change of address to the post office. and I did it online. Well, then I ended up having to go to the post office and bring some proof of ID, and I had to literally prove my identification for this change of address to be processed. And then I decided, well, I need to get my driver's license updated to get my address changed on it. Sure enough, had to go to the BMV and had to present 2 forms of identification to get that driver's license updated. So, I mean, we're faced with this day in and day out in our society. I just don't understand why we can't get it done, Debbie.
Yeah,
Actually, I can't. I think I can understand. I think, and we're going to talk about that here very soon, I believe. But there's got to be some ulterior motives behind holding this up. So
yeah, and there's quite a few states that you don't have to show any ID or any picture ID. It's so laissez-faire. It's so not strict that anybody could show up voting using your name and they would never know. So, and I know that I helped with the, I forget the name of the organization now, but I helped them go out there, and you had to get rid of voter addresses that weren't really residential. Like there were so many of them on there that were businesses, or they weren't really a business at all. They were like a mock residence, and they were able to locate thousands and thousands of those over the country where they had, that it said that somebody lived at that residence and there wasn't a residence there. So I know they knocked a bunch of those out this time too.
Yeah.
The problem is if half the country can cheat, then we're still having the same issues we were having before.
Just a thought that popped in my mind. Just though having an ID does not prove that you're a U.S. citizen, does it?
No. So the first part of it is you have to show proof of citizenship when you register. So it's really a 2-part process.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Deb?
I think that's all I got. I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens with the Senate. And if John Thune doesn't think this is a priority, I know Trump keeps truthing about it. Every now and then I'll see something about pass the SAVE Act, kill the filibuster, So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Dale T., what's on your mind?
California.
Yeah, me too.
I think we were talking about this earlier. You've got a very large state that has a lot of impact with the number of, representatives it has due to its large population. I think that the GDP of California is larger than a lot of countries. Yet it's is it 8 days or so from the election, a week, whatever. We're still at like 60% of the votes counted. We're told that it just takes a long time to figure this out, and it may take up to a month before they have a final count. And if a ballot is postmarked by election day, even if it takes an extra week to arrive, however it arrives, that's still good. And it's just it's just a can of worms. And we're seeing candidates like Steve Hilton for governor, and what's the kid's name? Spencer Pratt for mayor of Los Angeles. That once the active voting is done, they're in pretty good shape. But whenever all of those mail-in ballots come in, those guys just have a tendency to slide into the background and be eliminated. And it happens really year after year, and it just looks and smells pretty darn fishy.
Yeah, it sure does. I agree. I think somewhere I heard up to 22 days after the election that they can count these mail-in ballots. Now, do the mail-in ballots have to be postmarked no later than the election day? Or can they be after the election day?
I read they were supposed to be postmarked by election day.
Yeah.
But just for comparison's sake, I looked this up before we came on. The nation of India, I don't know how many people live there, but a few more people in California.
Right.
They complete their election results in a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The other interesting thing about California is all of these things that the delay and kind of make the system seem kind of murky. They're all put in place and they're all legal. I mean, there's just loophole after loophole of things that can raise, I guess, can put election results in question that are there by statute. And unless the good people of California decide to change that, looks like we're pretty much stuck with it.
I heard one of those loopholes is that if you have a gym membership, you can use that as your ID to vote. Now, question is, if you're a member of Planet Fitness in New Jersey, does that mean that you can go ahead and vote in California because you got a Planet Fitness gym membership, and that gets you into California for a vote?
I doubt it would ever be questioned. And I saw somebody else who was a Florida resident now that moved 8 years ago from the state of California. And they said they've contacted the state of California multiple times to try to get the ballots to stop. But the ballots by mail keep streaming into them. And it's not just one, it is multiple ballots every time there's an election. So that kind of raises some questions too.
Okay, now I've been seeing on YouTube. I like to watch these YouTube shorts while I'm exercising or doing something, and I'm starting to see all of a sudden I'm starting to see these shorts about election fraud in California being investigated, about this Nick Shirley. The guy that did the Minnesota fraud, that he's uncovering things, election fraud in California. Have you seen or heard any of that stuff?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think they were trying to pass a law. I think they called it the Stop Nick Shirley Act.
Yeah.
Because they basically were accusing him of racism and a bunch of stuff, trying to stop people from voting. And I don't know if they were successful in passing anything. I know he was a target of their legislation, though.
So many times anymore, some of this stuff that you see, I don't know if it's AI generated, if it's real or not. So you think these are real reports of election fraud cases?
Well, in my view, if it's California and it's kind of crazy, then the likelihood of it being true is pretty good. I don't know.
I think we have said this in Convention of States, that Washington, D.C. can't correct a lot of things going on in our country. The national debt is one of a prime example, that Washington, D.C. cannot address our national debt issue, that it's going to take the people, it's going to take through Convention of States, a Convention of States for the purpose of amending the Constitution, where we can propose amendments to correct this problem. I think that's what's got to happen in California. They have the people in California are going to have to get this corrected.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Dale, but didn't I thought I'd read that Governor Newsom recently passed a bill or it wasn't a bill. I think it was an executive order that the federal government couldn't interfere with California's election. So I mean, there you've got the state itself that wants to eliminate any possibility of interfering with their affairs. I'm
saying the people of California are going to have to get this corrected.
Yeah,
they're going to have to vote these people out.
Well, we say the same thing about the people of Iran, but I think at this point, the people in California might have the same mentality of the people in Iran. I don't know. They're just happy living under the thumb. It seems to be.
Well, 40,000 people in Iran got shot for trying to make changes. That hasn't happened yet in California.
You said yet, Dale. You said yet.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. We'll be. I think we'll be talking about this on more in the future. But I think it's just amazing, just amazing, and very, very sad, quite honestly. To
Well,
see.
you could probably run a follow-up focus sometime in July, and maybe they'll know who was elected out there.
So I think the mayor case. I think what's his name? Pratt. Is it Pratt?
Yeah, Spencer.
Yeah, he's
Pratt.
out, and I believe the guy running for the governor's race. I think they're in the next week or so. They're going to get him out of there too.
Steve Hilton.
Steve Hilton.
And we have a quick comment too on this California thing here. I want to go ahead and show that before we move on to another topic. Susan says, "Oops, I lost her." There we go. Susan says the DNI has a legitimate cause to investigate election fraud as a national security threat, doesn't it? She's asking a question.
Yeah. There probably could be a case made. I don't know. If it's a local election, mayor's race, local positions, I don't know. Good question though. Good question.
Well, I think wasn't the count like 24,000 that were dumped, and not one of them was for Pratt. I mean, it's just logistics and logic just dictate that there's a major problem there.
There's logic says there's some sort of a percentage breakdown there, and
I think the number 3 candidate was a Democratic progressive, and she's getting a large percentage of the votes. Pratt's getting almost none, and actually Karen Bass wasn't getting a lot more either. It was primarily geared toward the person who would squeeze out Spencer Pratt to put him into third place.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Ken, what's on your mind?
Well, I'll try and take a little bit. I'll try and take a little bit more lighter approach here. I don't know, but again, I'm looking at all the areas. I mean, we come on and we talk about being what's in focus, and we often joke about nothing really serious happening anywhere to focus on. I look at all the different places that are being used to generally divide and attack us, American citizens, that is, or we the people, on a regular basis. And I'm going to go back. I know last week I talked a little bit about sports. I'm going to be back on sports again, because we're talking about the World Cup coming to the United States. This is a week away, and there's a potential strike by the people at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, I saw that.
These people are the servers and the people that are working, there, and they're from what I'm reading, the threat. It's 96% of the 2,000 workers at the venue voted to strike over pay, conditions, and fears of attending ICE agents that could upset sensitive staff. Now, sensitive staff. I mean, let's be real here. We have people coming from all over the world, and this is a very heavily attended events. I know there's even been talk about the exuberant amount of cost for tickets, and they were looking at the cost for tickets too, because there was obviously some fraud concerns over the pricing of tickets. But I mean, again, we've got the border situation at one point, settled down, and Trump has done what he said he was going to do there. But now we've got all these people coming in from all over the world, and these people are concerned about their feelings being upset when we have the potential to have major disasters at some of these huge sporting events. Again, it's almost like the SAVE Act. There's so much common sense in this stuff that it just makes your head spin. That everything is upside down. And I guess I'll just throw it back out to everybody. I'd love to attend a World Cup event in the United States. But based on what these striking people want to do, I mean, they want to tear down any type of safety that's associated with this. And I saw recently just there was a Fox News interview with Secretary of what you call it, I forget his name now, the newly appointed guy, and he went through the vast amount of security that has to go, take place in the venue out there. And the one in Dallas as well, I think, is where they had this. But we can't afford to throw safety out the window because people's feelings are being hurt. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, absolutely true. And besides your comment on ticket prices, I mean, I heard all kinds of things quoted, but anywhere from like $1,000 to $15,000 a ticket. I mean, I don't know who can go to one of these games anyway.
Yeah.
The average person certainly cannot.
Have you seen the prices quoted for tickets for the Knicks game, the Knicks and Spurs basketball game tonight? Have you heard the prices quoted?
I haven't.
7,000 all the way up to $45,000.
Oh my word.
The last chart I saw was a seat right down front. I guess almost courtside, $45,000.
We've lost our minds.
Unbelievable. But anyway, this I couldn't believe this report, Ken, on this. When is the isn't the first game
June 11th or 12th
coming up very soon, isn't it?
Yeah. The international competition begins June 11th, and that includes 78 matches played across the U.S. So if this one striking venue happens to kick off multiple strikes going on because of ice or because of safety issues. America looks pretty much, we look like fools for hosting an event this big, a worldwide event, and having this kind of an issue. It just, it's beyond American is what it is.
You have to wonder why would some of their members be sensitive about ICE agents being present?
I don't know. I guess they figure because there's so many people, I think they're worried so much about, because there are so many foreigners coming in to attend these events, that ICE is going to just hang out and start arresting everybody. I think that's probably what the backlash will be. But in a
prior life, I actually worked a security detail for a World Cup match whenever they held one in Chicago. And the level of security there is phenomenal. Everything from like the drug and bomb sniffing dogs, they've got layers of people, probably a dozen federal agencies, state and local agencies that are all working together in task forces, shared radio communications, layers of hard perimeter security to stop people and vehicles from getting from place to place, and all the screening with the bags and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a huge operation, and to put a chink in the armor of any bit of that puts the whole arena at risk. And there you've got, I don't know, what's your average size arena, guys? 70, 80,000 people that are watching these. I mean, can you imagine an event in such a place? You just can't even consider it. So you got to do what you got to do to protect it.
Well, I heard too that one of the other top security things is they're afraid of drone attacks. So that's another thing that they widen that whole perimeter and going to be really watching for any type of air activity going on in those events. But I just why do we suddenly have to be put through this to worry about safety and security of a major event like this? It just, I don't know. This is a main feature of our government to protect the people.
Yep.
That's true.
Very. Very
That's my
disheartening.
rant. I'll open it up to you, Dale.
All right. All right. All right. Well, I was going to talk about California, but we kind of got into that with Dale Tipton's session. So, but I've got a backup. Actually, I got a couple backups, but the one backup that I want to talk about. Are you all familiar with this case? I believe is it out of Texas about the two kids? This happened a couple years ago. One white kid and one black kid, and the black kid. This was at a track meet, and the two met, and the black kid stabbed the white kid and killed him. Are you all familiar with that case at all?
I think so.
Yeah, that was a case where they said that he actually provoked the kid to come at him, and then pulled a knife out of his backpack or something and stabbed him.
Well, I'm hearing all sorts of different things about this, but what was very disheartening to me was the jury selection for this trial. Apparently, the jury that was finally selected was all white, comprised of all white people. And there are people that are protesting this because there aren't any blacks on the jury. And evidently there were black jurists interviewed for jury duty to serve on this trial, but they were eliminated. And they were eliminated because of racial prejudice. So what bothers me is that we are still in this country, we are still at the point where race has to play a part in something like this. Why can't we select a jury that is going to listen to the evidence and rule based on the actual evidence and not based on the race of the individuals involved? I just find that sad that we seem to still be at this point in time, that we haven't come further. And I understand the makeup of the jury, while it's considered all white, but I understand there are some other nationalities represented in the jury. But apparently the jury was selected like it should be, was selected based on the individuals professing that they can listen to the evidence and rule based on the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you heard anything different on this?
No, but I think that even reading the Bible, there's this innate human characteristic that you tend to focus and come around the people that are like you. We all know that. I was very interesting. A while back, I was talking to a lady she's an American citizen, but she's from Pakistan. And she was sharing with me that she worked in a company that had a lot of people from India, and they were prejudiced towards her. She was getting excluded from things. And I thought, oh my gosh, you guys are all just immigrated from there, a kind of general area. And she was just sharing all these things. And it just hit me like, that's what we tend to do, us Republicans or we Democrats, or, and I think that it takes a certain level of maturity, like you said, for them to find the jurors that can look past the color and say, let's find the evidence. And I feel like there are certain classes of people who have had so much prejudice in the past that they've been formed by that prejudice. Does that make sense? So if I grew up and I always was, people were prejudiced against me, I would grow up with a mindset of people are prejudiced towards me. And so I would tend to look at the world through my prejudiced eyes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that we're just a product of who we are. And I think that's why I feel like, knowing the Lord helps, because he doesn't see Jew or Greek or, man or woman or slave or free. We're all one, race before God. That takes a while to get there.
Yeah, and India and Pakistan are known rivals. I mean, they've been close to war a number of times over a number of different things, territorial disputes, etc. And so there's a real thing, India versus Pakistan. It's just, that's tough.
But it was interesting. It was like she wasn't from Pakistan. Her parents were, and they were all working for a company here in the United States. And they were all citizens. So I just thought I just never thought that would happen here. And I think it's just everywhere, and it's sad.
Yeah. I always thought it was interesting. Whenever I went to work in Chicago is an interesting place geographically, but people that come there, you have the Polish areas, you have the Vietnamese areas, you have the Mexican areas. You have all these people come from all over the world, but when they get here, they seek to find people like them, people that grew up where they grew up, and shared the values and the customs of the people from the old country. And so that was like that all over the place. And, is that prejudicial that they didn't want to live in another place? They wanted to be with people that they could relate to?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to define it that way.
Well, go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think we can look back at and point the finger at some of at this point, our immigration law problems. When you go back and you look at the reason why people came here years and years ago, it was because they had a desire to become American, a desire to learn the language, a desire to live in a free land, and assimilate. And I think we have to do something about our immigration laws at this point. I think we've lost so much control of that. That's the reason why you get people coming in big groups like this, and they all congregate together instead of I hear so many people talk about using the term the melting pot. There's no melting going on at all. There's no melting at all. It's people come in and they stay in their little group, and they continue to hang on to the things that apparently they claim they left their country for.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, because I think people, when you really ask people why do you want to come to America, I think we have to get back to the point that people come in and they want to show merit, they want to show that they can contribute and become American, and I think that's just been lost for so long that this whole thing has just bubbled up into a major problem that we're seeing across the land.
Yeah. How many auto accidents, highway accidents have you seen resulting from people that couldn't read road signs? Have no idea what they mean.
Yeah.
And so, especially, you get licensed to drive, an 18-wheeler or something, and you're driving down the road, you can't read the signs that you're seeing. I mean,
that's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just find that so hard to believe.
And a couple of those big accidents have happened right here in Indiana.
Yeah. And getting back to just the prejudice, I remember I grew up in Ohio, Northern Ohio, went to college there. I moved to Richmond, Virginia, didn't see much difference there, but then I moved to Tennessee, and I worked at a manufacturing plant out in the country. And those people, some of them absolutely hated me because I was a Yankee. Some of them joked, but some of them really did not like me only because I was from the North. And I was shocked. That they judged me based on where I came from like that in the same country.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what we have. That's just part of the culture too. I mean, especially the divisions between the North and the South are significant. I was at a conference one time in Virginia, and I was reading a book about Richard Sherman, one of the Northern generals, during the Civil War. And I was just sitting in this place kind of out in the open reading this book, and I had a guy come by and tap me on the shoulder, and he says, you want to be careful where you read that. I said, be careful where I read the book. And he said, well, considering, what this is about, and what happened under that man's hands, he said, you could open yourself up for some trouble. And I went, hey, thanks for the advice, and tucked it away and went on about my business. But yeah, it was a warning.
All right, guys, time's up. So we got to move on. Another very, very interesting segment, I think, of In Focus. So Debbie and Dale, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Always. I want you just to check to make sure that Marengo Mike has the proper papers. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
They're cave papers, Dale. They're cave papers.
Oh, that's right, cave paper. But it's a cave within this country, so
that's true.
Should be okay.
That's right. Marengo Caves
should be okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Marengo's even getting picked on now. I don't know. All right.
Yeah. All right, Ken. Let's move on. Well, we got a John Ackerman has gotten on his soapbox again, and this is the Uncle Tom one, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. This is
now that you've given away the subject. Okay.
I have. But we got kind of crossed up with John, and anyway, I think we had intended on playing this last week or a week before or something, and it didn't pan out. So we're going to play it tonight. So let's listen to John Ackerman on his soapbox here.
For Convention of States. The epithet Uncle Tom is commonly used to denigrate a black person as someone who submits to white supremacy. But that is so wrong and portrays a basic ignorance of Harriet Beecher Stowe's masterpiece book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Have you read it? I have, and it opened my eyes. She wrote it in 1852, and it had a profound effect on attitudes towards blacks and slavery in the United States. Uncle Tom's Cabin was the best-selling novel and second best-selling book of the 19th century. It was surpassed only by the Bible. It's credited with helping fuel the abolitionist cause in the 1850s. In the book, Uncle Tom is a man of deep Christian faith, integrity, patience, and compassion. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote him as a morally heroic figure, not a weak, submissive slave to whiteness. One of the most important scenes happens after Uncle Tom is sold to the cruel plantation owner, Simon Legree. Even the name sounds awful. Legree wants absolute control through fear and violence. And one day, he orders Tom to whip another slave. Tom refuses. No, massa, I can't do it. I can't get used to it, never shall. Legree insists. Tom says, no, no, no. My soul ain't yours, massa. You haven't bought it. You can't buy it. It's been bought and paid for by one that is able to keep it. You see, Tom can't whip another slave because it would be morally wrong and against his Christian conscience. He tells Legree that he can obey in ordinary matters, but he cannot commit cruelty against another person. Legree is furious because Tom's refusal is a direct challenge to his authority. So he beats Tom brutally. Tom is whipped and abused repeatedly in an attempt to break his spirit and force him to submit completely. But Tom willingly suffers rather than to participate in evil. In the end, Tom dies from the severity of these beatings. But before he dies, Tom forgives the men who are beating him. And he continues praying and expressing his faith in God. Tom's death is written as a martyrdom scene. Harriet Beecher Stowe intended it to show moral victory over physical oppression and to condemn the brutality of slavery. Is Tom a cowardly black who willingly submits to white authority? No. To the contrary, he's deeply Christian. He constantly reads the Bible, prays, and tries to live according to Christian teachings. His faith guides nearly every decision he makes. He's gentle and compassionate. He cares for children, comforts suffering people, and even shows kindness to those who mistreat him. He's morally courageous. Tom refuses to cooperate with cruelty, even when threatened. He refuses to help an abusive slave owner punish other slaves, despite knowing that he'll be beaten for it. He's patient under suffering. Stowe presents Tom almost as a Christ-like figure who endures injustice without hatred or revenge. And he's dignified rather than rebellious. Unlike some other anti-slavery stories that emphasized violent resistance or escape, Tom's resistance is spiritual and moral. He resists by refusing to surrender his conscience. Yes, Harriet Beecher Stowe portrays Tom as a Christ-like man, a man worth emulating. What this world needs today is more Christ-like women and men. Be like Jesus. Be like Uncle Tom, willing to stand up to moral cruelty and to suffer and die if necessary for what is right.
Yeah,
That's
that's one
good.
of the record books for sure.
That's a good one. That was a good one. Our screen there is kind of different. Have I got the wrong one here? Or- There we
There
go.
you
There
go.
we go.
There you go.
I clicked on the wrong one. So that's very good. John does a really good job on these, and we always look forward to getting another episode from John. So
Yeah, it's great that he brought back one of the great books of all time, and we probably should go back. And I would venture to say that, unfortunately, I hate to get back into education again, but I'd say most of our good literature that a lot of us grew up having to read is no longer on the dockets at the schools nowadays, and we should probably return to some good reading.
yeah. All right, let's move on. Ken, I'm sure you've heard about the Anti-Weaponization Fund. I think it's been kind of sidelined right now, but it was in the news briefly and got a lot of criticism, but I think it's been put on hold right now. But I asked Brett Sturley, one of our contributors, to look into this. This was Brett calls it an assignment. He likes my assignments that I give him. And so he did look into this, and I wanted him to educate us on this, so that we know something about it when it comes back up. And I do believe it is going to get back. It will be coming back at a later time, but I don't know when that will be. So anyway, I caught up with Brett here the other day, and we recorded his presentation on the Anti-Weaponization Fund. And I've got a particular interest, a very particular interest in this, and I make it known here toward the latter part of our conversation. So I won't go into, I won't repeat it right now, but we'll talk a bit about it once this is once we come back live. So I hope you all enjoy this. This is my recording with Brett Sterling on the Anti-Weaponization Fund. Greetings, everyone. Well, have you heard about the Trump Anti-Weaponization Fund? Been a topic in the news briefly, but don't know. Could be dead, but I doubt it. We're going to talk about it right now. I'm going to bring on Brett Sterling, COS State Director for Missouri, and we're going to delve into this. So let me bring Brett on right now. Hello, Brett.
Hello, Dale. How are you doing this evening?
Good, good, good. Brett, I've asked you to fill us in on the Anti-Weaponization Fund that has been going on. We've all heard about it, I think, in the news here recently, and I've got some feelings on it, as you know, and we'll get into that at the appropriate time. But I guess right now it's kind of a dead issue right now. Am I right?
Well, for right now,
Yeah.
Attorney General nominee Todd Blanche, I think it was last week, in congressional testimony, stated that they have abandoned this idea. But I think, if there's anything that we've learned about President Trump, whatever the conditions are or whatever's going on today might be completely different tomorrow. So who knows? This might get resurrected. It's hard telling, but
right.
We'll see.
Okay, I think you're right. As a matter of fact, I think there's, and especially if the midterms go his way, I think we'll see this be resurrected for sure. Anyway,
yeah.
So Brett, I'll let you just start out here, and I'll certainly, I've got questions about this, and as you know, I've got some strong feelings about this, and I'll pop in as you're going along here. Okay, so take it away.
100%. That sounds great. I want to just compliment you on. I never really enjoyed having homework in the homework assignments that I back in college and back in high school.
This is an assignment. I did assign this to you, didn't I?
It was kind of like a Mission Impossible. This is your mission, and so if you choose to accept it, right. So I accept it, but I do enjoy your homework assignments, and I always learn something, so I appreciate it.
Good, good. There'll be more.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. So. Well, I figured maybe we'll just kind of start out with exactly the background of this, okay. How we even got to this point. So President Donald Trump, the court case is President Donald Trump et al. Versus the Internal Revenue Service in United States Department of Treasury. The case number, if you want to look it up, is case number 1.26-CV-20609. It's in U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida, and this civil lawsuit was filed on January 29th of 2026. So this year, just what?
Oh, really?
4 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Aware of that. Okay.
It went quickly.
It did.
So, but it was filed by President Donald Trump, his sons Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and the Trump Organization, and was against the Internal Revenue Service and then the Treasury Department. And the original request, the plaintiffs, they sued for at least $10 billion with a B dollars in damages. Trump goes big. He doesn't nibble around the edges. So they alleged that the IRS and the Treasury Department failed to safeguard their confidential tax returns and related information, and this was in violation of Internal Revenue Code 6103, which protects taxpayer privacy in the Privacy Act. So the premise of the lawsuit, kind of the facts of the basis of the lawsuit, is that Charles Littlejohn, who was a former IRS contractor, he was actually employed. He was not employed by the Treasury or the IRS. He was an independent contractor, was actually employed by the county from Booz Allen Hamilton. That between roughly 2018 and 2020, Littlejohn illegally accessed and disclosed tax return information for thousands of wealthy individuals, not just the not the Trumps, but including the Trumps, the Trump family, and his businesses. He leaked Trump's tax returns, but dating all the way back to 2005 to the New York Times, and other data on wealthy Americans to the definitely a left-leaning news site ProPublica. Littlejohn was criminally convicted and sentenced to 5 years in prison for his actions. So there's no conjecture, there's no speculation on what happened. Littlejohn was convicted criminally in court for violating this. And it's interesting to note these tax returns of the Trumps, it says went back to 2005. Now, every single one of these, the Trump organization and his family have an army of accountants and attorneys, because I guarantee you they are audited. They probably have an IRS agent on site in the Trump organization and Trump Tower 365 days a year. They get audited. Every single one of these tax returns were audited, and nothing was found. You might remember that Rachel Maddow got a hold of these tax returns, and she was hyping it up for days and days and days on her program, and then when she read them on the news on her program, basically all it came up with is Donald Trump is kind of rich, he makes a lot of money, and guess what? He paid all his taxes. So it was a nothing burger. So there was controversy. And I think this is legitimate, because I had this question too. So there was controversy as there is with everything that President Trump does, that regarding the ability of a chief executive to sue an executive level agency. So this is a sitting president that is suing two agencies. The Internal Revenue Service and the Department of the Treasury are both in the executive branch. So it's basically, you can almost kind of make it analogous in private industry of a boss, the president of a company, suing a subordinate of their company. And so, that's a legitimate concern. And in my research, I did not discover any other instance to where a sitting president had sued a federal agency in the executive branch. Although I could not find any statute preventing that from happening. So what happened when they went to let me read just briefly here, and this is the press release from the Department of Treasury. Unless you have some questions here right now,
you just brought up something I wasn't aware, that this was the first. Is this the first time in history that a sitting president has sued an executive office or an agency, part of his, not only part of the federal government, but actually part of his branch of the federal government?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, that's in my research, I have not found to where that has happened previously.
Is that still being debated? Evidently not. I would have to assume it's no longer debated.
Yeah, well, it's not. And again, I did not find any type of statute that would prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
Congress might pass something or might take it up. Who knows? It'd be my guess that they probably do. But I do think that is a legitimate question. That hey,
right.
Can a sitting president sue a subordinate agency and the president is the executive branch?
Right.
constitutionally. And so everything these agencies, both of them report to the president. So,
Right.
I think that's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
And probably something needs clarification.
Yeah.
So I'll read. This is a pretty brief press release. This is a press release from the Justice Department, and you can get it at justice.gov. And the title of it, the press release, is Justice Department announces anti-weaponization fund. So this is exactly what happened here. So, and this is dated on May 18th, 2026. So the U.S. Department of Justice today announced that as part of the settlement agreement in President Donald Trump versus Internal Revenue Service, the Attorney General established the Anti-Weaponization Fund to provide a systematic process to hear and redress claims of others who suffered weaponization and lawfare. The plaintiffs in this case, President Donald J. Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and the Trump Organization, LLC, filed suit in against the Treasury and the IRS in the Southern District of Florida federal court following the leak of their tax returns. Per the settlement, the plaintiffs will receive a formal apology, but no monetary payment or damages of any kind. They have agreed in exchange for the creation of this fund to drop the their pending lawsuit with prejudice. What that means is they won't refile the case, and also withdraw 2 administrative claims, including for damages resulting from the unlawful raid of Mar-a-Lago and the Russia collusion hoax. Quote, the machinery of the government should never be weaponized against any American, and it is this department's intention to make right the wrongs that were previously done while ensuring this never happens again. Close quote, said Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. Quote, as part of this settlement, we are setting up a lawful process for victims of lawfare and weaponization to be heard and seek redress. Close quote. Now, open quote again from somebody else. The use of federal government power to target individuals or entities for improper and unlawful political, personal, and ideological reasons should not be tolerated by any administration, said Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General Trent McCotter. Said the fund will have the power to issue formal apologies and monetary relief owed to claimants. Submission of a claim is voluntary. There are no partisan requirements to file a claim. Any money left when the fund ceases operations will revert to the federal government.
Okay, so one point that I wanted clarified, and I think you just did. No funds went to Trump, went to the Trump family or organization.
No Trump family member or Trump entity, okay. any Trump or entity or organization at all. So
see, I was under the impression that these funds were in fact awarded to Trump and the family, but in fact they were not. So
yeah, the original lawsuit that they sued the Trumps and the Trump organization sued for $10 billion in damages, and to be awarded in some way. Now, what they did, and I think one of the reasons why they put some kind of like massive number out there like this is to try to force the Treasury and the IRS to the table to settle this. And so in doing that, part of the settlement is that they were not ever going to receive any money whatsoever. And initially, whenever this fund was whenever the lawsuit was filed, the Trump, President Trump and also his lawyers in this case stated that if there were any damages awarded to the Trumps or any of the Trump family or the Trump organization, it would be donated to charity. So that was from the get-go that the Trump organization and the Trumps were not going to receive anything.
All right. Okay.
Let's see. Where was it? The fund will receive $1.776 billion. This is 1776. It's right. always branding. $1.776 billion will come from the Judgment Fund, which is a perpetual appropriation allowing the Department of Justice to settle and pay cases. So this is not a new appropriation. Which is disturbing that there's just a pile of money that's sitting there at the DOJ to settle cases. It says on a quarterly basis, the fund shall send a report to the Attorney General outlining who has received relief and what form of relief was awarded. At the Attorney General's direction, the fund can be audited. The fund must take steps to protect private information and avoid fraud. The fund shall cease operations or shall cease processing claims no later than December 1st, 2028. So at that point, if there's any money left in there, it all reverts back to the federal government.
Okay. All right.
I'll revisit the rest. There's a little bit more to this press release, and I'll revisit that here in a second because I think we'll have a discussion. But it's extremely rare for the IRS to lose a case. One other case of note, Convention of States related, was in 2013. The Northern California Tea Party Patriots versus Internal Revenue Service was a class action lawsuit that was filed in Ohio alleging IRS bias in processing nonprofit exemption applications. So what happened was, and this was under Lois Lerner, under the Obama administration, that there were nonprofit applications made to the IRS. They're processed in Ohio in this office. And if a group had like Patriot or 912 or Tea Party or something like that, something patriotic in the title, those somehow got slow rolled and were sometimes took over 3 years to get through the process. And other groups that were, say, more left leaning or liberal or Democrat friendly groups, their nonprofit applications just shot through the process quickly. Mm-hmm. So there was a definite bias there. So the reason why I bring that up is that lawsuit was filed by our umbrella organization, Citizens for Self-Governance. And so the IRS lost that case. They issued a formal apology and did pay a monetary settlement, which is not disclosed. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of interesting. So with this case, with the Trump case being settled, as I said, it was settled pretty quickly, within 4 months, to establish this $1.776 billion anti-weaponization fund and to compensate individuals claiming lawfare or agency weaponization. And the, as I stated, the Trump family was not going to receive any financial settlement. And that the claimants, the applicants have to have their claim approved. They get a formal apology and possibly a monetary settlement.
Right.
Now, one thing that we'll talk about this because I think you want to talk about something else here in just a minute, is the last couple paragraphs of this Department of Justice press release states that there is legal precedent for such a fund to exist. Most notably, the Keeps Eagle case, where the Obama administration created a $760 million fund to redress various claims alleging racism against the federal government over a period of decades. In Keeps Eagle, hundreds of millions of dollars remaining in the fund were distributed to nonprofits and non-governmental organizations that never made claims, whereas any money remaining in the anti-weaponization fund will revert to the federal government. The Obama Department of Justice settled by putting $680 million from the judgment fund into a bank account for a single claims administrator, just one person instead of a 5-person board. We'll get to that here in a second. A single claims administrator to dole out. In Keeps Eagle, the remaining money, which ended up being over $300 million of taxpayer money, was then distributed to entities that had never even submitted claims. So I would argue,
who knows who got that money and how?
Well, I would say it did not go to any conservative organizations or Republican affiliated organizations.
I don't think the Heritage Foundation got any money. I know
this was a big time money laundering operation. So this fund, the anti-weaponization fund, will consist of 5 members appointed by the Attorney General. 1 member will be chosen in consultation with congressional leadership. The president may remove any member, but a replacement must be chosen in the same way as the replaced member was selected. That's the end of the press release.
Okay, we've got about 5 minutes to wind this up here. So
Okay.
it's good so far. Good so far.
Okay.
I'm not okay.
Well, let's wind it up with this here. So obviously, whenever this fund was set up, it threw Democrats and some Republicans into an immediate tizzy.
Right.
And the narrative was that the fund would give money to, quote, the January 6th rioters who tried to overthrow our democracy. This is idiotic on multiple levels. First, we all know we don't live in a democracy. And in my book, anyone who seriously says that we are is automatically a moron. The second thing is, and what we'll discuss, I think you'll be interested in discussing, is I don't know of any serious person on the right who's excused any person who actually damaged federal property or caused any harm to any individual on January 6, 2021.
Right. Right.
What we have spoken out against is the two-tiered system of justice with people who were, maybe entered into the Capitol through doors that the Capitol Police opened. They stayed. I mean, the video is out there. They're staying in between the velvet ropes. It looks like they're just taking a tour of the building because this is the people's house. The public goes in there every single day of the year. Or there were some that actually, if they just put their big toe on Capitol grounds, some of them got thrown in jail. Some of them got thrown in the DC, they call the DC gulag for a reason, because it's the conditions were terrible. I know a local lawyer who had defended a couple of the January 6th individuals that did nothing. One went inside the Capitol. There is no footage of them doing anything. They never touched a person. They never harmed any federal property whatsoever. Another just stepped foot on Capitol grounds. Both of them were put in a DC jail and kept there over a year before they were charged.
Yes.
Both of their cases got thrown out without merit.
Yes.
That's a two-tier justice system. It's completely unfair, and I have absolutely no problem with them getting compensated, because as you've had some of the January 6th defendants on your show.
We this is a hot topic, a hot point for me. Yes, we spent a number of shows interviewing J6 individuals. As a matter of fact, J6 prisoners. We actually interviewed one from his prison cell, as well as many other supporters of. We discovered there was a tremendous network of individuals and groups out there supporting all the J6ers and working to try and get them released. And if it was said to me once, it was said a million times that the real punishment here was the process that these people had to go through,
yes,
not the actual prison sentence or the actual sentence that they had to serve. The real punishment was the process that they had to go through. So many of these individuals lost families, lost their jobs, lost their career, obviously their savings.
Some took their own lives.
Some took their own lives. That's right. So I am all in favor of those individuals being compensated. Not in favor of anyone that caused any damage, that attacked a police officer in any way. I don't think they should be compensated. But
nope. Nor do
I truly hope, Brett, that this does get reinstated, that does come back up again, because I think there are some very worthy people that should be compensated and that were unjustly processed here.
I 100% agree, and just think, because there's people in Donald Trump's a polarizing figure, and I get that, but just think, you got to think about this in this context. If the federal government is willing to do this to a president of the United States, what do you think they're willing to do to us? Right. I mean, so think about that when you're thinking, just like, hey, you know what? Well, Trump's getting what Trump deserves. Yeah. Well,
That's just it. I mean, the process is the punishment. I mean,
Yes.
these people have limited funds where you're being prosecuted by attorneys with a never-ending bankroll. I mean, it's just so it is. It was the punishment was the process that these people had to go through. So I do hope they get some compensation out of this.
Same here.
Okay. Anything else? We need to wind it up here, Brett.
Yeah. No, I think that that covers most everything, and we'll see if this gets life breathed back into it again, or if see how the midterms go and see if there's going to be some more Republicans that are going to be elected to office that really understand what time it is and understand it's time to take the gloves off. We're not playing pretty. The other side is not playing pretty, and this is going to continue to go on until people, for these types of violations, for COVID, whatever, until people are put in jail when their lives are put on the line. It's going to continue. The government will do this again.
We'll wind it up right there, Brett.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Brett,
Dale. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Brett does a very good job in researching these topics. And like I said, I think Brett and I hope that this does get reinstated, reintroduced. I think a lot will depend upon the midterms, of course, but let's hope it does. So with that, I will say good night to you, and thank you for tuning in. Have a nice evening, everyone. Good night. Well, that was very good. What do you think?
Yeah. Had a couple of comments I'm going to go ahead and post, Dale. Just
Okay.
well, one question and one other comment. I think one question we might be able to answer right away or not. Maybe we'll have to ask Brett to comment on this. But Susan asks, who is the administrator of the fund and who decides whether any person can receive benefits?
Mm-hmm.
That's
The way I understand it, I think the Attorney General, I believe, is the administrator of the fund, but there is a board appointed of 5 individuals that actually entertain and process the applications for reimbursement. And so I don't think it's not up to any one individual, yes or no.
As it should be, right?
Yes, comprised of 5 individuals.
Gotcha. Her follow-up point to that was prisoners in D.C. were not given normal rights, such as medical care. Also, that's right. That was documented.
That's right. And I think I don't know how many, but I think there were some that were in prison that never did get a hearing, never did get a decision made or a hearing until they were actually pardoned. So
it's a shame because here we are giving free medical attention to people who aren't even citizens of this country, and these people were thrown in jail. And
I know, Ken, you were part of these interviews that we did back then on these different J6ers and the support group. Remember the couple out of Texas? Oh
yeah.
Can't remember their names right offhand, but very, very nice couple that kept their case kept getting delayed and kept getting postponed for months and months and months. Finally, the case was heard and they were sentenced to so many days in prison, a low security prison. They both had to serve that time.
I think they were just standing at a fence too, weren't they? They were standing at a fence.
Never stepped inside.
Just outside standing in front of a fence. I mean, can you imagine that happening to yourself? You
and
go to
I
a
think
fireworks show and you get thrown in jail because of
they had some
something that happened.
interaction with some guards, but there
Yeah.
was no violence, nothing of
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, good segment and good report by Brett, and we will definitely follow this for any type of a follow-up presentation. I want to get on to another report here that I've done, and I remember, Ken, you were drafted, but you you didn't have to go in because the draft was or the Vietnam War ended, right?
Yeah. Nixon ended the
Before-
war, and I was a week away from having to report. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
It
was
one of those,
drafted.
one of
I
those
was
in
drafted.
line, and just and suddenly, the doors were shut. So yeah, I don't
was
know.
drafted
God had
in-
other plans for me, I guess, and that's okay. But
So, well,
yeah,
I did get drafted. I was drafted in
yes, you
'65.
did. Yeah.
But anyway, so I heard a report here recently. Well, I won't go into. I'm going to play this report that I've done here on the Trump draft.
Okay.
Maybe you heard about this in the news, and
Yeah.
I think I can dispel any concerns about this. So let
Yeah,
me.
and I think from what I remember about that too, Dale, you know how Trump is. Trump will say some things to, provoke a reaction, or to get people,
Right.
kind of like poke the bear to get a little reaction and get people thinking. And I believe that's where that all started from anyway.
I think so. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But hopefully this clarifies everything for us. So here we go. Greetings, everyone. Recently I heard a news report. Actually, it was just a comment that was made on a news report. The comment was that Trump was going to install the draft later this year, and that really caught my attention because in 1966 I was drafted, so I grew up with the draft, and as a matter of fact, did actually get drafted in 1966. So I wanted to look into this a little bit more because I had not heard anything about this, but I wanted to find out if this is true or not. So I've put together a little presentation on what's really happening, and I hope you'll find it interesting. I put together a little PowerPoint here, and so I want to go through it here. Headline versus reality. Well, recent headlines and social media discussions created confusion by suggesting that President Trump had reinstated the military draft. In reality, there is currently no active draft in the United States. The selective service system still exists as a standby system, but recent changes relate primarily to registration procedures rather than mandatory military service. So let's keep going a little bit further on this. So what is the selective service? So the selective service system is a federal program designed to support a draft if Congress and the president ever determine one is necessary during a national emergency. Men between ages 18 and 25 are required by law to register. Registration itself does not mean a person is entering military service. Now, back in my day, of course, that was it was mandatory, but it was up to you to voluntarily make sure that you were registered. So I remember that being the situation that I had to actually take the action myself. Well, what has changed? Recent defense legislation modernized how eligible individuals are registered with the selective service system. Government databases may now assist in automatically registering eligible men. This administrative change has contributed to public confusion, but does not activate a military draft. Now, here's a very important question in today's time. I know this was not a question in my time, but it is a question in today's time. Are women included? Women currently are not required to register with Selective Service System. However, women may voluntarily serve in all military positions, including combat roles. Some lawmakers believe this means women should also be included in the Selective Service registration, while others oppose expanding the requirement. Congress has debated the issue several times, but no law has changed the current male-only registration requirement. Could a draft return? Yeah, sure. While no draft is active today, the legal framework still exists if the nation faced a severe military emergency. Any return of the draft would require congressional approval and presidential authorization. The United States currently relies on an all-voluntary military service. So why are people talking about this? Well, several factors have fueled public discussion, including global conflicts, of course, tensions involving major world powers, some military recruiting shortages, although I think while we had shortages in the prior administration, I think we're on track, much better situation now, but there may be some recruiting shortages. Social media, of course, sensational headlines often blurred the distinction between updating registration procedures and actually bringing back mandatory service. So what's the bottom line here? The key takeaway is simple. There is no active military draft in the United States today. President Trump did not reinstate mandatory military service. The recent changes involved the administrative operation of the Selective Service System rather than activating a national draft. So once again, I think we all got, or at least I did, I got taken in by a bit of misinformation that was put out in our media. And so I hope, in case you were one like me that got taken in by that, I hope this clarifies the issue for you. So thank you very much.
A good report, Dale.
Yeah, I hope that explains it. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, well, let's move on, Ken, to we got a submission on Dave's Daily Dose from David Punt out of Minnesota. So let's jump right into that.
Sounds good.
If you're looking for a long-term, long-range, blow-by-blow political story that seems to go on forever, you should look no further than Dr. Jill's book. But what's the end game? What could she possibly want out of this whole saga? Better question, what could the Democrats want out of this whole saga? Does she want to be president again? What makes me think she wants anything? She keeps showing up for events, that's why. This is Dave's Daily Dose on BrokenRoadRadio.com. I'm David Allen Punt, and the other players in the saga keep showing up too. So far, Uncle Joe and Jill have been the main players in this little game, supposedly about a book. She can't seriously think she could be a player herself, even if she thinks she wants to, which I don't think she does. Although the first thing a presidential candidate does is write a book and hit the bookstore trail, no, perish the thought. Uncle Joe wants another shot? Again, perish the thought. It could have been the clerk in charge of the Chiron, but there was an article missing in his sudden impromptu appearance when Jill sat down with Whoopi for a chat. Joe staggered to the edge of the stage so the camera could see him and the bodyguards could get in place and said, according to the words under the screen, "I have question." Not, "I have a question." I have question. Interestingly enough, this was before Jill and Whoopi sat down and began their opening statements, and a few Whoopi jokes and a half an hour back and forth, and then Whoopi would turn to the audience and ask, "Does anyone else have a question?" That would be Joe's cue to stumble to the stage and say, "I have question." But he skipped the article as if he's talking to his schnauzer or a newborn. So getting Joe ready for another run at anything more complex than a visit to the ice cream store seems out of the question. The most recent character to take the imaginary stage? Queen Nancy. Jill mentioned her, that Joe told her they had kissed and made up. The next scene in the drama, after Nancy, of course, will be a public hug and kiss with Kamala. Or maybe Doug will go next. We'll see. I'm David Allen Punt.
Ken, from what I can understand, the Democrats are just hoping that are wanting Jill and to just go away. I think that's what they're Joe and Jill just go away.
I think that's what the plan was a while back, and for some reason that infighting there just continues, and I think it'll continue.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just can't see how that is helpful in any way. I just can't see how that's helpful. Anyway. No. Well, Ken, I know you've got grandchildren, right?
Yep.
And so do I. As a matter of fact, I have great grandchildren. I don't think you're to that point yet.
No, I'm gonna have to do some praying and hoping for that one. I don't know that one.
Well, what's caught my attention here recently has been the Trump accounts.
Yes.
As you know, these were introduced not too long ago, really. I think it was Treasury Secretary Scott Bassett, I think, actually introduced them. But they're wealth building accounts. So anyway, yep. I wanted to find out some more information on these. So I did some research and put together a presentation on what the Trump accounts are based on what we know at this point in time. So without further ado, let me get into that recording here.
Sure.
Greetings, everyone. Dale Parrish hosts COS today. Well, if you're like me, you've got children, maybe grandchildren, or perhaps great-grandchildren. And if you do, you're interested in their future. So what has caught my attention is this new thing called the Trump accounts. And this has been something that was just very recently introduced. So I decided I wanted to learn more about these Trump accounts because, like I mentioned, in my particular case, I've got some great-grandchildren that I would like to see get enrolled in these. But so I put together a bit of a presentation to educate myself as well as hopefully you on what is a Trump account. So I've got a PowerPoint here. Let me bring that up and we'll get started on it right now. Okay. So Trump accounts, a proposed child-focused investment account designed to encourage long-term saving and investing. So let's get started here. What is a Trump account? The account is intended to invest primarily in diversified index funds and provide long-term growth opportunities for children. Okay. That's very important, long-term growth opportunities. Now, how does this compare with other instruments that are out there right now? Let's put it this way, the Trump accounts join a family of well-known savings vehicles, including 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, and 529 education funds. So the Trump accounts are meant to be a part of this whole family. So let's delve into this a little bit more. The Trump accounts, they compared to the other family of accounts out there, the 401ks, the IRAs, and the Roth IRA those are primarily retirement tools, whereas the 529 fund plan is designed primarily for education. Now, the Trump accounts focus on helping children build wealth and begin adulthood with invested assets. Most families would use these accounts together rather than choose just one exclusively. So, who's eligible for the Trump accounts? Well, children meeting program requirements may participate. And basically, as we know right now, the minimum requirements are that they be under 18 years old and that they have a Social Security number. Now, we're going to get into this seeded contribution here very, very shortly here. There is a method where the government can contribute to this fund. And let's talk about that specifically. This is referred to as seed money. Now, this is a specific requirement of the Trump account. Not all children will qualify for this, but if the child was born between January 1, 2025 and 12/31/2028, the child is qualifies for $1,000 referred to as a seed deposit. So that would automatically be deposited to their account and to start their account off. Now that's only for those children that are born during those dates. Okay, all other children in the fund at this point in time would not be eligible for the seed money. Now let's go a little bit farther here. Who can contribute to the Trump account? Eligible children can, of course, receive the seed contribution, the seed deposit. But otherwise, parents, grandparents, relatives, and potentially employers may contribute within program limits. More of that will be coming as time goes on. The type of investments, the investment structure, funds are generally invested in diversified, low-cost index funds designed for long-term growth. Okay. Now, let's talk about withdrawals, and this is very important because this differs, I think, from all the other funds. The program emphasizes long-term savings and access generally associated with adulthood and subject to program rules. So in other words, in general right now, withdrawals will not be allowed until the age of 18. So that's a little bit, that's a little different twist than the other accounts that are in this family of accounts. So how do you enroll in this? Families should review current requirements and enrollment procedures at, and this is very important, this website, trumpaccounts.gov. That's Trump with a capital T, accounts with a capital A, all one word, trumpaccounts.gov. That's where you can get information, and that's where you can actually enroll. The benefits, of course, supporters highlight financial literacy, compound growth, ownership, and early investing habits. So this not only intended to create wealth, but also intended to create the habit of investing. So so this could be a lifetime habit that's being formed here. Now, of course, there's criticisms on this. At this point in time, critics question the cost, the fairness, the complexity, and the potential market exposure risk. There's no doubt about that. So there are critics, and there are things to be explained and determined. So in conclusion, the central question is whether Trump accounts will provide meaningful long-term financial benefits and encourage a new generation of investors and savers. So once again, go to trumpaccounts.gov for further information and also enrollment procedures. So that's what we know at this point in time on the Trump accounts. I think these are good. This is a good tool, and I hope to be able to utilize this for my great-grandchildren, and I hope this will help you understand what the Trump accounts are all about. So as we learn more, we'll be happy to pass the information on to you. So that's it for right now. Thank you. Have a good evening. Well, was that helpful, you think, Ken?
I think so. I mean, when something like that comes along, regardless of, some of the naysayers and some of the people that maybe question it, I mean, why don't I guess people don't seem to give him credit for some of the things he does that really are. I mean, when you think about it, I think even if you qualify for the 1,000 that gets put in, even if you don't touch that, and 18 years later, I've heard reports that it's they could start off with a really nice, healthy chunk of money for education, for a house, business, whatever. I think it's something that, as I said, when it comes along, people should give credit where credit is due. And what did you say the qualification for that for the 1,000 was it 2021? They had to be born after.
They had to be born after January 1 of 2025.
25, okay.
To 12/31 of 2028. I think basically Trump's current term.
Yeah.
I think is.
I got you. Okay.
Now that's to be qualified for the seed money.
Just for the seed money.
Yeah. If you're under 18, you still could set up an account.
Sure.
And I didn't include this, and I probably should have, but I think right now, the maximum contribution for 1 year is $5,000.
That's what I had heard, 5,000, for a year. Yeah.
So, and that could change, but my goodness, contributions like that over time could really amount to quite a nest egg by the time they're 18 years old, and they may want to keep that money and continue to invest it and continue to grow it. That's not something that they have to utilize.
Right. They don't have to take it out at 18. I mean, they could let it stay in there longer. Sure.
But the key thing here is, Ken, that caught my attention, having experienced this, we had a 401k back in the day, and I had to dip into it. I had to do it. I had to use some of it before maturity. This apparently, if I understand right, you won't be able to access it. You won't be able to withdraw anything from it, which I think is in the long run is good that you can't get, that you can't utilize it. So anyway, I think these are good things. We'll see how this develops.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get my great grandchildren set up on this, and I'm not sure if they're going to go along with it or not. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see.
All you can do is suggest as the grandparent, right?
Yes, I'm afraid I'm bucking against some TDS here. And,
I got you.
but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's start wrapping up, Ken.
Sure.
We've gone a little bit longer than normal tonight, but that always seems to be the case. So let me put this up. In case you're searching for us, the best way to find our broadcast is on our YouTube channel, American Patriots for Convention of States. So just go to YouTube, and Ken, I think you're going to post a link for people to access, right?
I'm looking for that right now. Yep.
Okay, we'll get that posted here before we sign off. But if nothing else, just do a YouTube search, American Patriots for Convention of States. That's our YouTube channel where you can access the live broadcast as well as past broadcasts. So that's how you can that's the best way to find us.
It's up there right now. It's in the chat.
It's up there now? Okay.
It's in the chat, yes. If
you have any questions about or comments about tonight's broadcast, feel free to drop us an email at raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. Well, Ken, before we let Maringo Mike wrap us up here, any other comments or questions from viewers that we need to?
Oh, just one on that last segment. I'll go ahead and put that up. It's just think of all the kids with student loan debt. This could help kids get started in life without the burden of debt.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. That's right. That is correct. Very good point. And I do believe probably employers will be able to contribute to this someday. I don't think that's part of the program right now. But,
right.
Who knows? This could.
But just think, Dale, if it's used. I mean, nowadays, if you talk to kids nowadays, one of the biggest complaints is they can't afford to buy a home. Well, why is that? Because they can't even come up with a deposit that's needed to get that going. So even if you use that when the person was in their 20s or something after all those years and was able to go out and not only put down a deposit, but could possibly buy a home outright. Who knows,
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So
yes, could be a very good thing.
Yeah,
all right, Ken, let me find Maringo Mike here to close us out. And folks, thank you again for tuning in this evening. I hope you've enjoyed our broadcast. Next week is we'll do a little In Focus segment, but we're also going to next week is our COS Perspective segment. And that's where we take it's kind of the In Focus segment on steroids, I guess you might say.
The deep dive.
Do a deep dive, and we're going to be talking about AI, larger than the Industrial Revolution. And I think that is true, Ken, that AI is turning out to be a transformation that's going to end up being larger than the Industrial Revolution. And
there's a lot of discussion about it, and then there's some things that obviously I think need to be looked at. But
right. But when you think of the Industrial Revolution and all that it impacted throughout our society, I mean throughout our society, my parents were affected by it, and I've mentioned this. We'll talk about it more next week, but I think it's going to be a very interesting program. So I hope everyone will tune in. So let's let Marengo Mike Ken, if we don't have any other viewer comments or questions, we'll let Marengo Mike close us out this evening. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
Marengo Mike here with a reminder of the importance of this year as we continue to grow the grassroots army of volunteers and the mission of using the Constitution to fix the ills of our government. Use the QR code if you haven't signed the petition and consider using your talents to become an active volunteer. Thank you and God bless.